Luton managed to get through last night and they did it in style. So well done the players, and the club heads on to Wembley. And the next thing is they're one away from the Premier League. But here's the thing. Do the EFL need to follow up their words with action and punish Luton for the final whistle pitch invasion? We don't want to, how can I describe it, pee in your parade as such. But we got to talk about this morning because it seems so many Luton fans didn't pay any heed whatsoever to the warnings. Please do not go on the pitch because you could cause us problems. But they went on the pitch. And the EFL's top man, Trevor Birch, was there and watched them go on the pitch. Luton's chief exec was on breakfast with Laura. And he was asked, Gary Sweet, of course, we know Gary, shouldn't you be discouraging people from going on the pitch at the end of a game like that?
Frankly, we've been told to do that. So it was our duty to try and stop people from coming on the pitch, which we did. We did that before the game, during the game. So we did everything possible. I think, in some ways, the best way to do it is to probably allow them to come on the pitch at the right time, delay the event, get players off and allow everybody to go on the pitch. It's become a bit of an institution around, football stadiums everywhere on the last game of the season now. It happens really everywhere, so I think it's going to be difficult to avoid that event. At the end of the season, especially when you win a game like that last night. Supporters have got energy. It's all pent up. So, we kind of knew they were always going to do it. It's just how we managed it. And I think I was quite pleased with that.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how Gary can be pleased with that this morning, Simon. Could more not have been done to dissuade them from going on?
But I don't suppose he is pleased with it. But he's also a realist. And for years and years and years and years and years, there's been a tacit acceptance of fans coming onto the pitch. And because of all the hysteria that came, a lot of it from the media, and some of it justified, about the conduct of fans in Wembley, and then we moved on to the conduct of fans coming on the pitch with the Patrick Vieira altercation. Then we moved on to the issue surrounding Billy Sharp and Ollie McBurney at Sheffield United in the Nottingham Forest game last year in the Cup, and all that came with that. And it brought out a sentiment that, hang on a second, all of a sudden, and then we had the situation where players don't want to be gotten near, and we don't want people asking for their shirts and all this sort of stuff that happened at Leeds United and all that situation. Then we've got the situation in recent terms with a fan running onto the technical area with Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
So out came the directive, which is, we are telling you to stay off the pitch. So for years and years and years and years, there's been this acceptance of it. From Jimmy Glass scoring that wonderful last-minute goal to keep Carlisle in the division, to fans coming on the pitch in 2004 when I owned Crystal Palace and they all did the same thing and we tried to get them off. But now the industry has turned around and said, right, forget all the fact that we want you to celebrate, and forget all the fact we've allowed it to go on for years, because of the idea that there's more jeopardy to players, because players are more valuable, and because we've seen societal issues at this moment in time when there's a lot of anger out there and people are getting a little bit above themselves, it's now banned. Great. How are you going to enforce it? You've created and allowed a culture. How are you going to force it? I said to you this time last year, when all the hysteria was going, they've got to stay off the pitch, the fans should do as they're bloody told. They should, but they're not going to. And unless you're going to line the entire stadium with old Bill from corner flag to corner flag and stewards in between to stop them, then you're not going to do it. Now, perhaps the answer should be line the station. If we've got enough police officers around to do it, although the police will be quite happy to do it because it's an extra revenue stream, then that's the way you stop it. But then you've got altercations and people suggesting that they're not part of the football club and the fibre of it because they've been allowed over. Gary Sweet just embodies what everyone is a grown-up really knows, is that it's been accepted for years and now it's not. And how are you going to turn back that tide? And what do they really do? Because we've seen isolated instances. And then you'll have the next conversation about the PFA we have seen in our schedule. They're going to talk about the players' right to defend themselves against people assaulting them and so on and so forth.
I don't want to be a killjoy, Danny, but I think everything Simon is saying right. Gary Sweet should have said this morning, no, we are massively disappointed by what they did. The Premier League and the EFL have been clear in their message on this, that people must know the pitch is for players and the stands are for you lot, the spectators. So they stay in the pitch because they're the players and you guys all stay in the stands. That's where you are. Don't come on. As Simon says, what do they not get about that?
Well, I think I didn't hear the whole conversation this morning.
If Luton don't get to Wembley, Danny, they'll still get hit with a fine, probably.
Well, so will other clubs between now and the end of the season. That's for sure. If Middlesbrough beat Coventry home tonight, we're going to see their fans on the pitch. 100%.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to be getting fined, and the EFL are going to be getting lots of money. So good luck to them.
But I assume they would have said this. I would have said it if I was in an EFL meeting. Excuse me. This is wonderful that we're responding to the hysteria around a few instances of people going on the pitches, right?
Yeah.
What is it you would have us do? Just so we're clear, Trevor and Rick and all those that govern the EFL, if you want to impart this particular brand of wisdom, which, by the way, I think the fans shouldn't be on the pitch, right? But we've allowed it to go on for 50 years, so we ain't going to stop overnight. So, by the way, how are we going to stop it, lads? Just so we know, in this moment when we're all being realists with one another, how are we going to stop it? Because if you're going to start sanctioning fellas like me during the season, I want you to tell me at the top of the EFL...
What, you don't have an idea of your own how to stop it?
I want you to tell me what I'm going to do.
It's your club.
Hang on. Do you want me to line the entire station? Do you want me to turn this into martial law? Do you want me to have the entire football ground with the ultimate authority in the land in every single space that can possibly... Is that what you want?
Martial law. I mean, that's over-dramatising it.
How about this?
But you won't stop it, Jim.
Come on.
But the fans are a law unto themselves, like they are in society. Don't shout stupid things. Don't do this. You're going to always have a certain amount, and once you've got 20 on, 30 on, or 40 on, then it's like breaking the dams, breaking the dike.
Yeah.
You're going to.
How about this? If you're talking about behaviour, you're saying don't do it. How about go on the pitch? Just behave when you're on it. Don't punch anyone.
No, Danny. No.
Don't. You know what I mean?
That's not the message.
Well, let me ask you this: if nobody had ever punched anyone when they went on the pitch,
would we be having this conversation?
So if nobody breaks the law,
just as recently as last weekend,
it's not going on the pitch.
We saw the Leeds United individual get so close to Eddie Howe that Eddie Howe was rattled.
Yeah. But that's also about protectionism around certain areas like technical areas and understanding that you're in a different society than perhaps we were before. But it's also about the reality of what we expect from football fans, what we expect them to behave, and how we expect them to players to interact with them. Because are we not in the territory last year where we're telling fans, and I think fans should do as they're bloody told. It's not their right to go on the pitch, but there's not their right to do a lot of things in society, but people do it. But there's also this bit, are we saying that players now are not approachable? That you can't actually go anywhere near them? You can't even ask them for a shirt because it's not something you should be doing anymore because players don't want it. It's part of the conversation that actually the players themselves are public property, by definition, because it's the public.
That is not the moment last night to get close up and personal to these players.
Why? But
I saw Rob Edwards, like a cracked smile on his face, pushing the fans.
But
why didn't we have this conversation?
Shall I tell you why he did that? Nothing to do with that, because they've won nothing yet. And he doesn't want to celebrate.
Yeah.
I watch Rob Edwards going, he's not doing that because he's getting away from the fans. He doesn't want to be in their face. He doesn't want to be seen celebrating because he's got a game to win. And they've won nothing.
You know the thing that amazes me, Simon? I'll put it out there this morning. I've asked this before when Millwall fans did it. Why do fans want to go on the pitch? Because
to be part of it.
But
to just
once
feel
you get
part
on
of
it, what the hell do you do?
I know.
You stand about looking like an idiot.
Yeah, but you could argue
and
why
you
does
grab
someone
your
go
heroes and you celebrate in this moment. Explain to me
what?
Explain to me the logic of a grown man in a stand cheering for a 17-year-old kid
in his football kit.
Now get that emotion, bottle it, explain it. Now then, if you can logically explain that, which you can't, now explain why people run on a football pitch and want to be involved in it, because you can't explain that either. You can't explain football. Full stop.
The other thing is, do we not pick and choose a little bit? I mean,
of course we do.
We were eulogising about Wrexham going up last week. I know it's just,
and no one said a word about it.
Everyone's saying, "What about the two guys from Hollywood? What about the fans on this amazing day at Wrexham?" No one's talking. We didn't start talking about them getting fined because it didn't suit the narrative.
Because it came on the back of a hysteria. We came on the back of Man United fans breaking into the stadium, climbing in there, rebelling against the Glazers. All of that background noise reached fever pitch for certain segments of the media to go, you've got to do something about it.
I've got to read this as we head to the break. I'll put it out there, 03717 223344. Jim, fans should be allowed onto the pitch on the last day of the season. Jim, you're an embarrassment and you're a hater of freedom. I'm not any of these things, I'd like to think, but
you're
thanks
not a
for the
hater of
message.
freedom, but you are an embarrassment.
It's unbelievable that the message doesn't get through. Simon, you nailed it there, I have to say. Grown men in their 60s and 70s getting hyped up about what a 17-year-old does in front of them on the field of play and then goes on to join them.
But what would you have football be built on then? It's built upon visceral reactions. It's built upon emotion. If you haven't got that,
passion.
Then what have you? And passion and all that goes with it. And passion takes you out of the reality of acting in a normal fashion.
Have passion,
I'm not excusing,
but have it in the stands.
I agree with you, but it's like suggesting the tide goes back.
Well, but you've missed the point where I said just simplify it, Jim.
Here.
You've got to simplify it. If people went on the pitch and behaved and didn't break the law, we wouldn't have this conversation. So the idiot that punches someone or wants to grab someone's
But
face.
look at what happened with Patrick Vieira and Christian. They don't. There are instances when fans misbehave when they go on the pitch,
I know,
Danny.
but then
So-
they've got to be
so-
consequence. But it's not the going on the pitch, is
So
it?
to cover all angles,
Keep them off, but you can't.
keep them off.
You can't. Just ask people to behave. That's it.
It might be one for Trevor this morning. We'll maybe put it to
But
Trevor
I would,
Birch at
if
the
I was in
EFL.
an EFL meeting, I'd
You're
say,
like-
tell me I'm going to do it then.
All right.
Just tell me I'm going to do it.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.